Okay, let's take a look at a little bit of scripting. We're going to see how we can use some coding to enhance the animation, to do some of the things that we couldn't really do with animation. So it takes us to the next level. Okay, you click the scripting right here, and that'll take us to this setup. Now to create a new script, you click New. Now I should indicate to you on this is that when you save this, again, you need to pack it into one Blender file. Now the external data here and automatically pack into .blend, or do it manually and say pack all into a .blend. That way the text file will be created or included. So I think it's separate. Okay, now just generally over here, and this doesn't apply with everything, um, but if I perform some kind of action here, I can actually see the code that goes along with it. Now that helps if you're trying to figure out how to do a certain task, then that gives you an idea. For example, if I do an add, mesh, and then cube, and you see down here it tells you the code that accomplishes that. And I could take this code and copy it. So if I click with my left mouse button and right click and choose copy, and over here, paste it in. I'm going to do a control V. That'll bring that code in. Now you do have to do one thing before that. You have to do an import BPY. This allows you to, through coding, to access all these different elements. So the whatever methods you might call, meshes, all that. Okay. Now, if I run this, probably won't look like it changes much. But notice over here, I have cube.001. And if I run this, cube.002. Run it again, cube.003. So they're all right on top of each other. But you can see that it's creating new meshes based on my code here. Now if I do add mesh, UV sphere, you see down here, I can right click on this and choose copy. Come up here and do a control V. Now there's a lot of different parameters it passes in. You see how it's passing in radius, for example. And I don't think there's any way to scroll to the right. Could be wrong about that. Let's see, word wrap. There we go. I mean, I could have scrolled to the right just by clicking, holding down, and dragging my mouse, but I don't think there's any bars. You can have extra lines in here in your code. Some of you may not have seen code before. Depends on if this is your first programming class. So don't worry overly about this at this point. We're going to go over to W3 Schools. We're going to start learning something called Python. This is Python. Now, but you see radius is equal to 1. Doesn't take much to figure out what that does. Enter edit mode is false. We've already seen what edit mode is, so you can pretty well guess than that. Align equals world. We haven't talked about the world yet. Location. That probably tells you where it's going to be placed at. So if I come here, I change that and then run that. You see we got a bigger sphere here. Now, let me move this, G, and then move it over here. Okay, look what it's got here now. Copy that. Paste that in. And you notice we got bpy.ops.transform.translate, and then it's got a value here. Now this is going to be based upon whatever is selected. So that's important to keep in mind. For example, if I get rid of these, and I have the cube, excuse me, and I run it, see how I moved the cube over to here? So I got this cube selected, run it again, see how it moves the cube. We're going to see later how to programmatically specify a certain object name. That'd be important. If you're trying to control a specific object, then you have to have that. Now, if you're just trying to write code to change, to position, to do something with a currently selected object, then this is what you want to do. Now, I do not think that you need all of this. It puts all of this in here by default. On some of these, you can get rid of some of them. I'm not sure which ones I need, which ones I don't, to be honest on this. I think that's all I need for a translate. But let's see. I might be wrong. See, that's all I needed. So it's much easier coding-wise than you might think. If I run that again, see, that's not an absolute positioning it's doing there. It's moving it based upon the relative position of where I'm at. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can delete these over here. Okay, just back to our main cube then. Now, get rid of that. Okay, so I'll do an add mesh cube. Puts my code down you like might think. I can move it. If I can clear this. Appear to be a way to do a clear all. Excuse me. Probably is, I just don't know it. It's curious, Shift works differently in that than does every other package in the world. I guess you just have to try to maybe take my word for it, since I'm not. Maybe I don't got them anymore. There we go. Finally, got that cleaned out. Okay, I'm going to select this cube here, and I select this cube here. You notice it does not show us how to select an object. So this is what I was talking about. Not all actions are shown down there. Now, if I double click this, and then change it to test. Again, notice the rename comes up here, but it doesn't tell us this. So you have to take your code down here with that kind of light. That it'll help you a little bit, but it won't tell you exactly what you need to do. Here it is, clear all. I had to wake up here eventually. Well, that's a console. There's a select all. Okay, so select all and then choose delete. I'll get rid of that. Okay, let me do some bad code. Over. Notice it says Python script failed. Check the message in the system console. Now, if you come over here to the console, you don't see anything. Where's the system console at? Python console. Should use this right here. The info, which is this. And I don't know where the system console is. I'm trying to remember where they moved it to. So I don't see it as one of our types here. Used to be a separate window popped up in the background. There is a way to bring it up though. Okay. See what keystrokes there are. Window toggle system console. I don't remember that. Window toggle system console. That's the one used to pop up in the background. Used to be if you close this window, doesn't allow you to anymore. It used to be if you close this window, it would crash. It would crash Blender, or not crash it, but it would bring Blender down. This tells you, you know, sometimes a message is meaningful. I'm not sure why that's telling us that on line 1 we got a problem. This import BPY is not bad. I deliberately spelled BYP wrong and then some other items. Okay. So I do window, toggle system console. Get back to here. Well, let's take a look at some aspects of programming. My goal isn't to teach you the entire Python programming language, but just some basics. That's just w3schools website.com. If you scroll down, there's a Learn Python. Python may be a little bit different than a lot of different languages you've looked at. We got variables here. And unlike other languages, you can just start using them. So like x equals 5, y is equal to John, and then print x, print y. You can click try it yourself here. And you can call it whatever you want. My name equals David, and then print my name. So I don't think it has to be like a single character. That gives you that. So over here, if I select all, delete that. I want to look at adding a mesh cube. Got this code. So I'm going to right click on that, choose copy, come over here and paste it in. But instead of hard coding 0, 0, 0, I'm going to create variables to specify that. So x is equal to 5 or 2, y is equal to 1, z is equal to 3. And I'll put x comma y comma z. And if I run that, it'll create my cube in a different position. We're going to see that through variables, we could move our cube around. And there's one thing I need to refresh my memory on before we get to that point, which is not going to be today anyway, so that's fine. But you gotta refresh it after each change. Otherwise, it doesn't show you the end result until the script gets done running. So it gets done running the script and then updates the display over there, user perspective. But that shows you using variables. Well, maybe what we really want to do is to maybe to create a bunch of cubes. Well, let's talk about that. Now, a variable allows us to keep track of information. And you might say, well, what's the difference over here? You hard coded these, and then you put the variables down here. Well, the idea would be that a variable can change. It doesn't do you any good to just have it equal to one value and never change it. But you could maybe get this from the user in some manner. Maybe you could get it from a screen, or have it change like numbers from 1 to 5, for example. So extending the idea of a variable, there's a for loop here. And here it is. For x in range, let's try this. A little bit different than what you maybe seen in other languages. Here you're telling the range for x in range 2, 6. Notice it only prints 2 to 5. So it goes 2 and then 1 less than your ending number right here. Okay, let's use this concept to modify this. I'm going to have a for loop here. Now the x you see there can be any name. I'm gonna call it x. Well, I'll call it for cube number. And then I'm going to do my in range. Now that starts at 2. You can start at any numbering. 1 to 6, colon. And now here's the important part. If you use other languages, if you do inner, it does an indentation for you. Do not undo that indentation. It has to be indented. That's how it knows what to run under a for loop. And I press delete. You might say, well, a line isn't indented. Well, it is. It's just done the wrap. So when it did the wrap, that's what it shows. Okay. Now let's run this. Now watch what we have over here on the right-hand side. For a scene collection, we cube.001, cube.002. Now if I run that, you're going to see it created quite a few cubes. Let me do a Control Z. Okay, so I got rid of those. Imagine here, instead of 1 to 6, 1 to 60. Now this would be one. Remember, this is 1 to 59, so it's one less. And you see, I just created a bunch of cubes. Now it doesn't appear like it over here, but that's because they're all in the same position. Well, we're gonna play with this a little bit because we're gonna try to create like a wall of cubes, so you can see through through a program. How can you create this? I'm gonna do a Control Z. Besides you being used for animation, this is an essential scripting tool for working with these packages. Maya, the big commercial package that does this plus a lot more. It's used for a lot of animation work and so forth. But it adopted Python, its programming language for the scripting. Used to use Maya script, I think it was called, or maybe MelScript. I think now I'm saying that I think MelScript is what it should be called. Yeah, Mel. That's the scripting language. I'm not sure if it's still in there. But they've gone to Python. But again, the idea on this is to try to through code to create something, create an animation perhaps, or just create a display or whatever. They got different scripts, and whether we can find a free one that's decent is questionable. But let's say you want to create a city, and so if you want to create a city, I suppose you could sit there and design each individual building and so forth, but that take you a long time, and to get them look good and so forth. So another way to do it is you have a script of some sort, and the script will run and it'll create a city. Now that one may just be I'm not sure if that's actually a script. Python. And there's lots of these out there. That's Mo's written a City Builder is a standalone app. Result can be imported into Blender, import and export scripts by using Blender script for the new API. As an example. So again, this is what it'll go through and create for you. The idea is to very quickly build a city, build a forest, build a whatever. Well, there's a place for Python scripts for Blender. Blender scripts archive. Some of these perform specific functions. Some of these I have no clue what you're even referring to. Autofish rig Python script. How to import Minecraft worlds into Blender. It's like a Python script. So a lot of different things you can do. Okay, so we're going to extend this operation here to try to create multiple cubes. Now you don't need any cubes at all, actually. Delete these. There we go. Try to make this so I can see it a little bit better. Okay, so my if I run this, I'm not sure why that is down there. I think it's just the wrapping. Yeah, it is. If I run this, puts it right there. Okay, Control Z. 0, 0, 0. Puts it right there. Let me change the X. Now, watch where that's at. Notice the 1 corresponds. I know it's kind of hard to see here with the view we have. But this 1 corresponds to this line right here. If I were to move it a little bit, you can see it better. So if I want it back here, then I'm going to have -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6. So let me start at -6. And if I run that, you see it's over there. Okay, so I'm going to select those and delete them. So we're going to start at -6, and then we're going to create cubes going across here. So in my for loop, I'm going to, of course, add the cube. But after I add the cube, then I want to change the x value. So I'm going to say x is equal to x plus. And now here's the hard part. If you want them to be right up against each other, not overlapping, then you want to add, I believe, 2. what we're going to see. And then this right here, let me change this to like 5 or something so we see more cubes. Now again, this indentation has to exist. If you screw it up, I could do that, it will not work. If you screw it up like that, simply go to the line above it, press enter, and that'll tell you where it should be at. Oh, that's right, because it goes 1 to 4, it goes 1 less. So that created our 4 cubes going across there. I'm going to do a Control Z, and I really want maybe, let's do that. That'll create 8 cubes. Okay, that appears to be okay. Now, that created that across. Maybe I want to go up too. You can have embedded for loops in this. So for each x value, you can then have the up, which is our z change. So I'm going to, after this, let me think about this. X equals x plus 2. I want to do it before that one. And I'll say for height in range. Now, I think 0 is flush with the plane. So the horizontal plane that you're seeing. So I think where I want to start is at 2. Always have to play with this a little bit. Okay, so 2 there. And let's do 9 again. Okay, so I'm going to do this cube, then I want to create cubes above it. There's different ways you can do this. So I'm going to copy that. I highlighted it. Okay. So now I'll do a paste. Control V. Don't know if I put it in the right place. Didn't look like it, but I'm sure it is. It is. It just wrapped. Now notice, if I take off the wrapping, notice that the x equals x plus 2 is still at the same indentation. This indentation means it's involved with this for loop. Now the for loop is just looping through. So it's going for cube number equals 1, equals 2, equals 3, equals 4, equals 5, all the way up to 8. So it's doing this repetitively over and over. Okay, so gotta wrap it again, I guess. Now here, this x, y, z, the z, which is up and down, I want to change by putting my height in here. Now that's not going to be quite correct because it will be 2, then 3, then 4, so it'll overlap. Let me show that. Let me do Control Z. Control Z. Guess it's too late to do a Control Z. Oh well. Just highlight those. By the way, trouble getting those windows. There we go. Let's see, select all, delete. If I do an A is how I select everything. So that's this action. Now if I press X for delete, it does this. So at the very beginning of your script, if you don't want to clean it up each time, if you put this, so I'm going to right click that, choose copy, paste that in there, choose this, and choose copy, paste that in there. then each time I run this, it will clean up my previous objects. Okay, so let's run this. And like I said, they're overlapping because I'm increasing this by 1, and it's only putting, well, one wouldn't be enough. I'd have to do 2 because a blender cube, it has a distance of 2 blender units. Different ways you could do that. I think I may have to go look at this. I think if you put 2 there, I think it increases by 2. So it goes 2, 4, 6, 8. Let's see if that's a lie or whether I remember it correctly or not. And there we got our perfect wall. Okay. I'm trying to think about, we did that project recently where we had a wrecking ball come down and hit these. By the way, you notice all these, the naming of them. Trying to think if I can do a rigid body within code. Let's see. Sure I can, but I mean easily, like where it'll let me steal a code. Okay, so if I add how to clean this out. If I add a rigid body. That appears to whatever I'm working with to add the rigid body to. Okay, so immediately after I do an add, I should be able to do this command in theory. Okay, so where do I add my cube set? Add the cube right here. Let me go to the end and press enter. Okay, paste that in. And here's another add cube. Paste that in. Okay, so let's run this again. And now change this to the timeline. And I click run and see they all drop. That one, you know, even if you're just going to use this to create some kind of shape, then it works out pretty good. As you saw from that one tutorial about wrecking ball hitting the cubes, there's different ways of doing that, but programmatically you can do it. Okay, now I want them to come out in this direction. And that'd be kind of cumbersome because I'd have to come out for each one of these, which isn't bad. But sometimes you can just do a for loop and a for loop and a for loop, and then just do one add of a mesh. Okay, so if I said for X val in range 1 to 9, for Y val in range, and I'm just going to put numbers here. I don't know what's appropriate. And for Z val in range 1 to 9. Press delete, get rid of that. I'm adding my cube there. but I need to put x val, y val, and z value in there. So for location, x val, y val, and z val. Now, important here is if I go back home, notice that my rigid body that I just added on is the indentation. Is back for this for loop. So if I go to end and press enter, then I press delete and delete again, that will put that indentation underneath this for loop. And get rid of those. And I want these to change by 2, I guess, now that I'm thinking this through. I'll run that. Create a little Rubik's Cube. Yes. I don't remember if Rubik's Cube had four there or not. I remember it's a 3. But anyway, now realize each one of these is a separate item, separate mesh. So you can then programmatically work with that. Now, let me see, what do I want to create next? Maybe I want to create a pyramid of some sort. Or stairs. Stairs might be easier. So it really does take some thinking about how the for loop works and so forth, on how to do this. First thing I'll try to do is create my bottom, which would be the above except for the z component. Oh, leave that. Excuse me. Leave that there. And to get rid of this z. Now again, my indentation screwed up. That's not going to work, I don't think. I lie. It did work. But the indentation says that it should be right here. Like that. I think we'll see that that will give us the same. Assuming it came back. It's hard to tell when it doesn't make any, you haven't changed anything. Okay, so I want then my next level to be my Z, but I want it to be the Y to be 1 less. Okay, so I have to think about this. Maybe I need Z for the Y. For Z val in range. I may not get this right. We'll see. 2. Y there. Those of you used to other languages, it'll take some getting used to realize you don't use like braces to enclose your code in a for loop or an if statement and so forth that we'll look at. Okay, so my z value is increasing. And so my y value is 2 to the 9. Let's try 9 minus z val. I had to really think about that one. Because I wanted the y to be 1 less. So, for example, when z is equal to 1, I wanted this to be 9 minus 1 or 8. When z is equal to 3, then I wanted this to be 9 minus 3 or 6. So I had to really think about how I wanted to create stairs like that. Now, I wanted to create the shape on the other side going down. Some of this just hurts your head sometimes to think about. If I shift the entire thing over by a certain amount, like this started at my x equals 1. What do I want to shift? I want to shift my y. Shift my y that way. If I copy that, x will still be the same. Well, for now it'll be the same. Z will still be the same. But my y now, instead of starting where it's at, I want to shift it by 2, 4, 6, 8. So I want to shift it by 8. So I'm going to do a plus shift here. Y value. Y values I want to shift by 8. Yeah, I think that's right. And then over here, I'm going to define shift. Shift is equal to 8. Not quite direction I was thinking, but I must be pointed this way. Okay. And if I want to flip that around, it's probably beyond what I can wrap my mind around, but this morning for me, I didn't sleep very good last night, so I'm operating on half cylinder right now. How would I flip that around? Okay, we want our x to be the same, but then I want this to come from the other side. Coming from the other side probably means I need to subtract over here. I could have 8 minus a value. I think that'll go underneath. Y value plus shift. You do have to have your mouse over here. If you hurry over here and start typing, it tries to apply it to this window. That becomes annoying. I don't think that'll work, but let's see. Ah, it did. And not as dragging this morning as I thought. That's what I was trying to achieve. Some kind of pyramid type of shape. Although there's more to a pyramid than that. Okay, well, the assignment for this is, let me get back to here. I want you just to get an introduction to the Python programming language applied to Blender. And by the way, you see here there's a save as. This is where you can save it as a different location. Be sure that you turn in your Blender file and your code. So whether you edit, copy this and paste it in or so forth, or you do that pack, pack should bring it in theory. We'll see if I'm lying to you. Okay, let's see. Untitled, I guess that's fine. External data, pack all into .blend. Okay. Save this. I swear I was just looking at it. There it is, under text. Who would have thought under text? Save as my script. Okay. Bothers me a little bit that didn't said nothing was packed. Let me choose automatically pack in the Blender, do a file save. And where's this at? This is under downloads, untitled.blend. Okay. Downloads, untitled.blend, move it to HTML. Load this up. There is a way to make it a permanent in a Blender file, but I don't think this will even. No, I was wrong. It's still there. Okay. So I pack it. Either pack does or does it automatically, one of the two. But make sure you pack it just in case, and upload this. And I want you to create two geometric shapes, different than what I showed. So experiment with it, play with it a little bit. The more comfortable you get with this, the easier it'll be in terms of your programming for the programming portion of this class. Now, I haven't shown you very much programming yet because I want to introduce it in pieces, and specifically, I want to introduce it in pieces while we're actually doing something meaningful in Blender versus just printing numbers or so forth over in W3 Schools. But again, two geometric shapes using code. Well, we'll go ahead and stop there.